Despite the amount of big agencies that have gone in and reported on this, there has yet to be any sort of international protocol established, whether that be, trying these people in an international court of law or what have you. These people are left in a camp with no cell phones and effectively no access to the outside world. And so I remember I asked one Russian woman, is this a camp or is this a prison? And she said it's somewhere in between. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, that's exactly what the world expects it to be. So then we went over to the Iraqi Syrian section, and it was just night and day. The surroundings, the busyness, the fact that people really wanted to speak about their experiences. At one point I had maybe 50 people surrounding me, and most of the time they weren't wanting to speak to me as a journalist, but just someone from the outside who might be able to, answer some of their questions. People were asking, do you know where my husband is? Is it true that they torture kids in prison?
فاحنا نريد اولادنا، انا ابني عندي 2000 مواليد 2000 وسنه 2002 ما اعرف عنه لحد الان، من فقد ما اعرف عنه كل شيء. زلمتي مصاب واخذوه ما اعرف، زلمه كبير ما اعرف عنه كل شيء.
An image that really sticks out to me is one of this maybe 60-year-old woman crying and using the fabric of her face covering to wipe her eyes, because in that moment I realized just how human she was and how rare it is that we humanize people in that camp. And so I would say that was a big turning point in the story for me, because it was when I realized that it wasn't just about hearing stories or reporting stories, but about changing the narrative entirely, that everybody in this camp is somehow a perpetrator of violence or a supporter of violence, because that's absolutely not true. From 2014 to 2018, 10,000 people fled to the camp with the help of the SDF to escape Daesh's approaching presence. And then in 2019, after the Battle of Baghouz being Daesh's last bit of territory, the population of the camp shot up to around 70,000. And that's when you start hearing it being called a Daesh camp, because you did have Daesh affiliates mixed up in these people, but you also had people that were loosely affiliated with Daesh or perhaps worked with them but didn't completely support their ideology. And then in 2019, UNICEF came out with this report that it supports the 40,000 people fleeing from Hajin, which is near Baghouz, to the camp. But somehow in the last 2 years, the narrative changed, that it wasn't just about Daesh victims, but it became about Daesh affiliates. The victims really became just an afterthought. Actually, I wouldn't even say afterthought, because nobody even knows that there are any Daesh victims at the camp.